Hi there, thanks for joining me today. I have a flip through of a pretty little journal that I just recently finished. She's she's kind of shabby looking, but in a beautiful way. If you're like me, you actually love the patina of an old worn book and old worn furniture and old worn everything practically. So this is Peg of My Heart, and this book was published in 1913. So she's 111 years old. She's an old girl, but she's beautiful, and she was in horrible condition. Not a very well made book. The paper was not good quality. Made a lot of sense why it was falling. I've got things crashing down here. Sorry about that. It doesn't surprise me that she was falling apart so badly, but I have reinforced her spine and left it with all this beautiful mucky patina that I love. If you're like me, you love it too. And she's rough looking, but I think that's what makes her look beautiful. So if you look for journals that are in pristine condition, this isn't the journal for you. But if you're looking for a journal with beautiful character, and she's got a sweet little spirit to her, this one. So let's take a look inside and see what I've done. You can tell already that I have put ties, permanent ties on her, made from tea-dyed bias tape. So, and if you open her up, you'll see that she has a hidden hollow back spine. She has 7 signatures in her, and she has 234 approximate pages. Depends on what you consider a page, because I put in all different sizes and shapes of pages when I create a journal. So, and I consider each side a page, so 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing. And she is chock full of antique laces and vintage laces and antique ribbons and vintage ribbons. And as ever, I try and find the majority of my materials that go into my junk journals from secondhand sources, so that it's truly a junk journal. Even though you and I both know, I think that kind of journal makes the prettiest journals. They're certainly the most unique, I think, because they cannot be duplicated. It's impossible to duplicate them. The tops were really falling apart, the head and the foot of the spine. So I have reinforced them with glue and with sewing to give them more strength. And then on the inside, I also put extra fabric on the inside, but I have left it looking really rough and grungy looking because, as I mentioned earlier, I like that. And there's a picture of Peg on the front with her little dog and her little box with the belt holding it and containing all her worldly goods. And the story behind it was based, the book itself is based apparently upon a play that was written. So the play came first, and then came the book, and about a little girl, a proper English woman fell in love with an Irish agitator, and together they had a little girl named Peg. And so if you ever want to find the book, I do believe it's online because it's over 100 years old. You can go read it, or you can read the screenplay for the, is it called a screenplay when it's a play, or is that just for movies? Anyhow, it's all online. So here we go. Here's the opening. This picture was in the original text block. I only put a few pages in from the original text block because the paper was such poor quality. The only way I can describe it is it's kind of mushy, and would crack if I tried to bend it. So I used a few pages. The pictures were a different kind of paper than the pages, so they held up much better. And so whatever pictures were in the text block, I have put them back into this new to us text block. Over here is an actual antique postcard, and I thought it was appropriate because it had an Irish horseshoe on it. And of course, Peg's father was the Irish agitator who won over the English lady's heart. And it's got that beautiful old-fashioned writing on it, and I just think it's perfect, and the colors are perfect. I love when you can put shades of a dusty purple, and purple pansies in this case, I think, and greens. Greens, there's a lot of greens in here because I really felt an affinity towards the father. Anyone who can be known as an Irish agitator wins my heart too. So she apparently in the actual story she travels from I believe Ireland to England to New York, and then back again to England, and the poor little thing is all over the place. So I've added some tickets and a few little things that sort of give the indication of travel. And apparently the play itself is a comedy. So the book I read sure didn't seem very funny, but I didn't read the whole thing. Here's the original first page, which I like to always include. I mostly put it in for the sake of the copyright. This is a first edition. It's a 1913. Now, don't be worrying that I've destroyed a first edition book that's precious. You can get these online. There were many published, and this one would have been considered in abysmal condition, so it would not have been worth much at all. But I put it in, I glued it in the way you would a plate, so that it can be, I like when you can see the actual publishing date. But I'm not so sure I would fold that over. It's more just for the new owner to have it there and know the year that the original book was published. And then here it explains it all: the romance of an Irish agitator and an English lady of quality. And I love there's little shamrocks throughout this text block. Again, you can see by the edges of the paper that it's just falling apart. There's a lot of journaling space in this book. I went kind of crazy with putting in tags and tuck things and actual ephemera and some faux ephemera that I created. And so if you're looking for a journal that's actually all ready to go, this might be the one for you, because as you can see, it's almost an alligator mouth already, but I couldn't control myself. I just enjoyed this so much. But I must say, there's a lot of room for writing or for whatever you wish. So here's tea-dyed paper that I created, and then a little vintage card here that, again, blank journaling space. I found some fun vellum paper with my scrapbook paper, and I made use of some of my scrapbook paper, which I don't have a lot of, but I thought it's time to get using it. So there's some of it in here. And of this vellum paper, it was in different sizes. So I made little tiny folios and put them into this book, which I thought turned out very pretty. And some pretty little lace sewn on the edge. In this book, on this page here, I've put, this is what I call faux ephemera. The picture was from a book about old times, I believe old holidays. And, but it gives you journaling space. And this is can all be lifted up. And then because there's printing on the back here, I glued down, actually this was an ironed coffee filter from my drip coffee maker. And then this is from a book I have on Victorian pastries and cakes and such. So I thought that was fun. A little bit of stitching there with some tangles and knots, which I like the look of. And then again, some more of this vellum paper. This is some of my favorite paper from a gardening journal that I have, and it's been tea-dyed. And there's a little robin there on that little piece of paper. Here's an envelope that I glued in on the other side of this paper here, which shows different costumes from different eras of what women wore in those years. And inside here, oh, this is from a vintage children's reader. I figured since Peg was a little girl, maybe she was able to get some books. And inside I put a faux ephemera card. So I actually created this from the picture, probably out of a book that I had, or maybe a scan of a carte de visite that I have. I have so few that I have scanned them, so I don't, like I said, because I don't have very many of them. But then I create them into what I think is quite a good looking faux version of a carte de visite. And I imagined that maybe that was a picture of Peg's mum or something, and she saved it. And that's been sewn along the edge there, and a little bit of old lace down at the bottom here. And then again, just tons and tons of journaling space for you. If you're a journal writer, you're really going to enjoy this book. On this page here, again, you'll find this picture was in the actual text block. The back was already blank. I left it that way. I trimmed it down, but I left it blank so that it could be journaled on the back if you wish. And I made use of, again, the scrapbook paper. I just hadn't gone through it in such a long time, and I found quite a few sheets that I thought, why aren't I using this up? The whole reason I go through all these thrift stores is to find stuff to use, and I shouldn't be hanging on to it. With this little detail here with the safety pin, I glued down the ruffled fabric. That's glued on, but these two pieces of lace are just held on with this rusty pin. So if you want to use them and make a tab or make a journaling card or put it somewhere else in the book, you only need to undo that little pin and you can take that lace off and put it somewhere else. And I did not come up with this idea. I learned this from a beautiful video, watching a flip through by Dorothy Jane 2. So if you want to, 2 as in T-O-O. And if you want to look up her channel on YouTube, you'll learn lots too. I certainly have. And of course, a little bit of Edith Holden. Can't have a beautiful, pretty book without some Edith in it. Again, lots of writing room. This is old wallpaper. It's certainly, I would dare say it's vintage, because this style of using a little border around the edge, I think, went out in the 80s. And then another picture that was in the original text block, and I put it onto one of the scrapbook papers that I cut in and made it into a postcard. And some more old lace that I have sewn on, and some lace up here sticking out the top. The lace is just abounding. It's coming out the bottom, out the sides, out the top. I just had fun. So it's a little overload, but I don't think it's too much overload, in my humble opinion. More journaling room for you. This was a different way of tea dyeing, where you crumple it up and let it dry crumpled and then flatten it out afterwards, and you get this neat, almost a marble granite kind of, more marble look. And again, just lots and lots of journaling space. Now I need something in there, because we can't just have an empty spot, because that's an up tuck. So I'm going to put that up there. And I tried my best on the pages that I had fun with or put pockets on. I did it on the pages that had printing on it, and left the blank pages for the new owner to journal on. This kind of a page, if you wanted to, you could glue it down to the page that's underneath and make yourself a tuck spot. Always keep that in the back of your mind. Some more tea-dyed paper. This, in a way, is a folio. What it is it's a tag, but I made it so that it's two-sided, and you'll see the other side over here on the other, obviously on the other side of the signature. So again, because she had to do quite a bit of traveling, it sounds like, I was able to use a stamp that I have for embarkation and luggage, and then I did a little bit of collaging there. And you can journal on the back. And the end of the romance, so whenever that happened in the book, I'm not sure. And that, again, cute little shamrock. So even the scrapbook paper, I tea dyed it, because I don't like that stark white so much in a book that I want to look really old. So this is the other cut from the garden journal, and what I did was I made the back part of it into a pocket and the front part of it into journaling space. And then this is actually a genuine old photo from the 1920s. According to whoever kept the photo album, they wrote the date on the black paper that it was attached to. So it was, and whoever wrote it just wrote 1920s to 1930s, but didn't give a specific date. And as ever with a Sunnyside journal, I always put a bookmark in of my mom and my Nana, a two Nanas bookmark. So I just put that into this pocket. Behind here you'll find this lace, which is can lift up, and you can journal underneath, and there's a little, that's actually a vellum sticker, that clock. And this is antique lace that was, there's a lot of things you'll see. If you sent it to me in Happy Mail or Happy Gift, and you know who you are, please know I'm very grateful for all the wonderful extra things that people share with me. And again, journaling room. Another pocket here, again from another big scrapbook paper that had a whole bunch of postcard that I was able to just cut out and then make it more personalized. So this one I put a Canadian stamp on it. Who knows, maybe she made it up here as well. If she was down in New York, if she was in New York City, we're only 9 hours away, so you never know. And this is the same thing as the previous one. The ruffle on the bottom has been glued on, but if you want to use these layered pieces of lace, and 2 of them are antique, and this fabric is actually the fabric that's on the inside of the spine used to fortify it. So if you're wondering what's in there, that's the fabric that's hidden under there, so that if the spine starts wearing away, that's what's going to start showing through. I made a journal card or tag out of one of the pages of the book, this chapter 11. I liked it because it said The Rebellion of Peg. And then I cut this picture out from a book I have that's from 1888 from Girls' Own Annual. And she looked like a poor little waif to me. This bag, a sack that it looks like she used her shawl to wrap up everything that she owned in the world. So, and there's the other part of her dress. I like doing that if a picture is, a fussy cut is too big, when I put it onto a tab, is to just wrap it around to the other side. And then you've still got room here to journal. So, and that just fits in there nicely like that. And here's the other side of that shipping tag that is actually a folio. And I've put a bulb pin with a little bead on it, a little purple colored bead that's got a little bit of hand-painted flower on it. And again, another pocket created from a page in the book. So when I reinforce it, it makes it a little bit stronger and a little easier to use. This negative was actually tucked into the book, and I felt like it needed to stay in the books. Whoever owned this book obviously had it in there for a reason, and it was already cracked up and broken. So I just left it the way it was. There's 2 little children sitting in an easy chair. If you see it up close, you can see them there. So who knows, maybe Peg found out she had a little cousin or something eventually. And then again, same scrapbook paper, I made a journaling card from it. And then this is faux ephemera. So this came out of a book I have of Victorian scrap, but I still made it look older by sanding it and inking it and roughing up the edge with a knife. And then this is genuine old, from an old accounting book, and some antique lace glued on the edge there. So a little journaling card there. And I sewed around the edge, and I just love these knots that I learned how to make from Shanna at Shinuki Arts. I just love the messy sewing. Another page from out of the actual text block. This is Peg returns to her father, and I hope that meant good things. So I just left it a messy mess the way it is. And I've clipped it in actually using an old clip-on earring. So if you see here, This is actually the kind of earrings that our mothers and grandmothers would have worn. Certainly my mom did a lot until I was finally a teenager, when I was able to convince my mom to get her ears pierced. She was still wearing these pinchy earrings, and then when she'd take them off, like after church, she'd go, "Oh, these hurt so much." And I'd say, "Mom, get your ears pierced." Anyhow, this was a doily. It was round, but when you cut the edge off, you can straighten it out, and that gives you a nice natural ruffle. So somebody had the patience and the skill to crochet that beautiful edging on it, and I sewed it onto the edge. I think that looks really pretty. And a page of porcelain dolls from some sheets of paper that I found again while I was thrifting. Another original page from the text block. For this little short piece of a folio, in order to create more room for journaling, I created a faux photograph, old photograph. This is from a book. It's a good thing to watch for in thrift stores, books that have pictures of old photos. You can make them look like the real thing. So while there are many original old photos in this, in Peg of My Heart that I've created here, there are also faux old photos as well. So that's kind of cool. And then again, this is a little piece of antique lace and an old piece of ribbon that I've just glued on the edge because it was sort of a second thought. Normally I would have used my sewing machine to run it down there, but because I did it after I sewed the whole thing together, there's just no way I could get that under the foot of my sewing machine. Not my old girl. Again, off of the Tim Holtz scrapbook paper, and then I sewed on some lace. And this is also from that book I have of what they did back in the day for their vacations. So this lady obviously posed for a picture, and I made it into a journaling card. So I put some backing on it and did a bit of stamping, and you can journal on the back of it. This is a really old book that someone generously mailed to me. I have yet to find a date for it, but I know that it's old, just simply from the condition that it arrived in, and yet it was still very, very beautiful. So with this chapter 4, Peg in England, I have some ribbon with Union Jacks on it that I got in Happy Mail from a friend over in England. So I made a tab out of that, and I thought that was appropriate to put on the Peg in England. And then on this side is from out of a book that I had, can't even remember, and I wish I'd taken the time to write what book it was out of, but there were so many pictures in that book that some of them went in the journal and some of them I kept to use later, and this was one of those times that's later. And it says down here, the Pool and Tower Bridge. So apparently that's the bridge that my granddad said he used to have to walk across to get to work every day when he was a young lad. I think he said he was about 13. He was apprenticed to a barber, and he had to walk to work, and he lived on one side, and he had to walk across the bridge and over to where the barber shop was that he apprenticed at. So I guess I kept it in the family when I became a hairdresser, although he never did become a barber when he came here to Canada. He worked in a factory making shoeboxes. This is from an old book. Again, there was no some publishers just didn't put dates in their books, but I know just from the condition of the book that it's very old, and it's Scottish songs. So if you're wondering why is that spelling the way it is, it's spelled the way it was spoken. Again, it's a gift from generous people, and you can journal on the back. This is made from the Tim Holtz tags, but it's movable, so you don't have to have it at the top. You don't have to have it on this page. You can move it anywhere else in the book, or you can stick it out the side. It's nice that it's portable, and I just put a little bit of tea-dyed paper under on that side. I loved it here where it says Jessie the Flower of Dunblane, and I wonder if this was what Peg's mother looked like, or who knows. Again, found it in a book and I thought she was lovely, and so I created it as if it was a memorial that she had put, but it's also a tuck spot, so I just put some old, this is vintage children's composition paper underneath there. So and this is from a Beatrix Potter book. I think it's Squirrel Nutkin, but it's in French, if you see, which is, for me, unusual. You'd think we'd find more of them here because I live in Canada and we are officially bilingual country. But because of where I live in Ontario, I don't find a lot of French books in our thrift stores. Here's a little tuck spot here, making the most of my offcuts, and this is a little cigarette card. Apparently you used to get these in your boxes of cigarettes, and a little ruffle down here. They're pretty, the little pansies. Just love that. This is out of a guest book. I love putting those in journals. This, again, is from a book from 1884, and there's a picture here of Charlotte Bronte, and if you follow along with my videos, you were here the day that I put this together, because this picture of her, she looks like she's looking down at something, and I thought that this page needed something down here because she's obviously gazing very purposefully down at something. So there's these two little lovebirds down here, so I put those there, and I thought she looked kind of Irish, so I put them there. And then more journaling space, lots and lots of journaling space. And I love these back pages in old books when they advertise for other books that you could purchase from that publisher. And some more of that wallpaper, and I fussy cut a bit and put it down here as well, and I like the way that turned out. And again, another picture that was in the original text block, so I put that in there like a little up tuck. And then another little, this rose comes from the same sticker bunch that is along here, along this edge. And a little more Edith Holden and some lace up the top that I sewed on. So you'll see every signature has at least one folio out of the original text block, and another little bulb pin with a little dangly bead hanging off of it. And this is also from an old doily that has some hand crochet around the edge that I sewed on, with my sewing machine. Little tuck spot here. This is actually real, but it was, this is genuine, the nail polish remover label, but it was very thin paper, so I put it onto some scrapbook paper to make it stronger. And then this is an actual little card that somebody sent. It says, "For your little brother, with love from Granddad and Grandmom." And I just thought that was cute too, with the little boy and girl on it again, or little, no, they're little cherubs. I can see wings there. So I tucked those in the back. I thought that looked good. So this is actual ephemera as well. It's very old. And that was a gift from someone as well. And here again, you can finish collaging on this page. I just sort of got you started. I just thought, what would a little girl love to put into a book? And so there's a little cat dressed up in her Sunday best. And because the book was published in 1913, I had a calendar from 1913, so I picked March, and then I circled St. Patrick's Day. I figured maybe if she was honoring her Irish father, that she would honor St. Patrick's Day. Then I just made this little collaged card, and then on the back there's a little tuck spot, and again, this is from a little book that I found from 1888, so I wrote it down there. Whenever I do know for sure the date of a book or a piece of paper, I try my best to write it in. But sometimes I just don't know. All you can do is go by my word on it. And another little journaling card here that I created from a book that I had on advertising in the late 1800s to early 1900s. So I created a card out of it, and then made a little tuck spot in the back here, as well as the tuck spot that's in the front, and put some lace and a little bit of faux Victorian scrap. This is out of one of those books that you can do fussy cutting. And then on the back is one of my little cards that I put on it, where I sign it, and it says 2024. Sorry, there's threads. And then I made a little collage. And I mean, for anyone who doesn't want one of these on their book, just collage over it. That's the beauty of junk journals, is anything that you don't like that I've done, collage over it. Tear it out if you want, and make something beautiful the way you want it to look. So that is Peg of My Heart from 1913. She will be available later today in my Etsy shop. I hope you'll go over and take a look if you're interested and think that maybe Peg is the kind of journal for you. And down in the comments down below, I'll write the actual time that she will be available, but most likely it'll probably be around 5:30. That's usually around the time that I put my books up on my Etsy shop. It takes me a while to get the sales page ready. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this long-winded flip through, but when you've got a journal that's that full of things and you talk as much as I do, it tends to be long-winded. I hope you enjoyed this flip through today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye.